Hello, my name is Bella DeWalder. This is my presentation analyzing the plot and theme of Sherman Alexie's short story Fixed Income. Alright. So, in the exposition, the short story is developed through the lens of a Native American teenager in Washington, navigating the harsh realities of inequalities in America, firsthand experiences, and as well as the shared experiences of some of his coworkers. As he's surprised to find that most of his fellow coworkers are actually adults, some of which with college degrees, and in the writing, he subtly shifts to a more satirical critique of economic inequality, as seen in the line, "One of the cooks has an electrical engineering degree, and he's using all that science education to make sure there are 2 pickles and only 2 pickles on the hamburgers." This opening line alone really sets the tone of realism and a sense of muted frustration, as well as introduces a theme of the economic struggles and societal inequalities and generational struggle that Native Americans face, particularly in Seattle, which has been a reoccurring theme or element in some of the past literary works that we've covered in this module as well. The rising action and societal injustice. As the story develops, the narrator reflects on the racial disparities he witnesses at his job, as most of his coworkers are either Black or Latino, which is an impactful insight on the societal injustices in America. We later learn that his father was actually laid off from his job, leaving himself and his mother as the main financial supporters for his family. And while he's going through this financial struggle of his own, he also points out and notes how the woman who works the drive-thru is a 45-year-old single mother and has 3 kids. How the hell does she pay for anything with her McDonald's wages? And through this quote, we really see the theme of the disillusioned American dream and the impact of poverty on families and the economic injustices that cause the disillusionment of the American dream. And he also has his own personal experience that he's going through while also feeling empathy for his fellow coworkers that are going through similar situations. In this story, there's also a theme of identity prevailing through the economic injustices, as the narrator reflects on his identity throughout the story, assuming a sense of guilt for taking work and not being as desperate for the job as others, saying there might be other mothers and fathers who need it, yet he needs the job himself, because we learn that his father was laid off of his job. Even throughout his own financial hardships, he still wants himself and others to succeed, and he pushes himself to save money to go to community college and pursue an education, even in the face of this social and economic inequality that he's living through, and he's using it as a fuel almost. And he later reflects on his past, saying, "I screwed off my first 2 years of high school like too many Indians do, so I don't have the grades for a 4-year school." This also gently critiques the societal stereotypes of his community, while also using it as a moment of self-awareness and growth that he can later use, like I said, as a fuel to empower himself and his identity while overcoming the economic and societal injustices. In our climax, we see a budding friendship between our narrator and an elderly disabled man working at the McDonald's. Throughout many of the literary works we have covered in our readings, each one of them carries the same element the same important element of community and, importantly, unity and respect in the community. As the so-called cigarette friendship develops in the story, as the two share life experiences, the elderly man asks to be referred to as grandfather, which connects to the narrator's native traditions, saying that it's a sign of respect, and which it is. As the narrator himself never had grandparents, he embraces this name, and we see a newfound symbolic relationship between the two, tying both his native identity to his community identity of connecting with others who are going through the same financial hardships, or maybe not the same financial hardships, but the same societal and economic struggles that he himself is going through. And he's tying some of his own native connections and morals to this community to just really build and empower himself. He also uses it to build and empower others, as he notes, he smiled as big as I'd ever seen him. He loved the respect. I loved respecting him, which reflects the importance of respect, like I said, in the community, especially in the face of oppression. Finally, in our resolution, we see how important respect and wealth, or how respect and wealth go together, I should say. And the story of this story ends with a powerful note, as their bond allows the narrator to gain some strength and perspective in order to face the injustices that he may experience or he is actively experiencing. At the same time, both the narrator and the grandfather find dignity in respecting each other as, their own personal sense of wealth, power, and stability, as I mentioned earlier. This respect really builds as a fuel and empowers them to overcome the societal injustices that they may be experiencing. The final line of the story is a really compelling critique of America, as it is in the line. In this sad country, respect is the only thing most of us can afford, which really reflects the emotional resilience of the narrator as he recognizes the power and importance of respect in the face of, as I mentioned, societal inequality and oppression, and how it's used to overcome, or